exercising one of our listeners, Paul Anderson, a representative of Forever Fathers. Paul, good morning to you.
Hi, Donald.
Paul, the ad you're specifically referring to is an ad for one of the mobile phone companies, and it's effectively an ad where it's a man and a young boy, and they're playing football together, and he's teaching the boy how to use a phone, and they're communicating, and at the end the child turns around to the man and says, "Thanks, Dad," and the tagline is, "There's a first for everything," and the implication is that this is the boy's stepfather, and the boy has just called him Dad for the first time, and there's a moment between them. You have concerns about this?
Yeah, it's normalising the fact that there is a biological father out there, and there is a massive number of them who are fighting to see their children and mothers. It ignores their feelings, so there I am. I'm grieving about not being allowed to see my child for whatever reasons. My ex doesn't want me to see them, and a lot of cases it's unfounded allegations that are used. And there I am watching it. I'm not allowed to see my child. I'm grieving for them. I'm going through what they call parental alienation, and there's this ad. And it ignores that.
But it could also be argued that, sadly, the boy's natural father could be dead, the boy's mother could have remarried, this could be the boy's stepfather, and as much as you're speaking about normalisation, aren't there many, many relationships out there between children and stepfathers, and indeed children and stepmothers, where they become normal relations, and the child and the stepfather or stepmother develops a bond, and that too is part of life, and that too is part of reality, and that too must be acknowledged?
I don't disagree with you, but what I disagree with the fact that it's normalised, because if a child has a father in their life, they'll call that father Dad. Now, if they're being stopped from seeing that father, what right has the mother to allow someone else to take that special, important name of Dad or Mum away from that child? It's actually child abuse, taking a parent that they love out of their life for no reason. Now, there are fathers and mothers who are estranged for abuse and various other things, but there are many, many good fathers and mothers going through courts and courts and courts, being, especially through the COVID now, where they've been not allowed to see their children. And a guy comes in, and he's not that child's real father, and he's allowed by the mother or the father. It could be a mother or a stepmom comes in and takes over that special role. You've only got one father, and Forever Fathers, that's how they got their name, because you're forever a father, no matter what. No one can take that away from you. And that ad goes and says, "Oh, you can have another dad, and he can be the first for everything." I think that's like a big kick between the legs of fathers, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, no, we've had a call, for instance, of a person saying, "My mum was separated, we all called her new husband Dad, and my birth dad had no issue with it. It takes more to be a dad than blood." And it's a phrase I've heard from others as well, that a dad isn't always a matter of a blood relation. Sometimes a dad is the person that's in the person's life for whatever reason, and it's not always because their natural biological father is alienated.
Okay, may I stop you there? The mother allowed that father to go into children's life and become the dad.
But surely the point is the child made a decision themselves to call the man Dad.
They were conditioned. They were conditioned because they were not allowed time with the other parent.
How do we know that?
Well, in most cases, that's the fact.
But isn't there court-mandated time? I mean, there's going to be some issues. Now, I speak from a level of ignorance to a certain extent, because I am not in the situation, and I do not wish to in any way sort of play down anybody else's situation, Paul, but I mean, my understanding is in most cases of separation, fathers have contact with their children, and there will be stepfathers, and that the situation as portrayed in this advert is a situation which pertains happily in many households, and it doesn't always necessarily point to alienation on behalf of the biological father.
That may be the case, but in many cases, there are aggrieved fathers and mothers who are not being allowed to have the role of being the first to play football with their child, to be the first to walk up the woods with the dogs, to have a pet with them, to have time with them. And this is the problem out there in terms of that either the mother or the father who get custody are the gatekeeper to that children's life. And it's been proven that having two loving parents living together and or apart is the best thing for a child. And if on top of that they've got a loving step parent there, that's fantastic. But the primal situation is that father or that mother should, or the child should, and it's in the UN human or the children's rights legislation that Ireland has signed up to, have the right to have two parents in their life. And in most of these cases, it's where one of them is a gatekeeper and stopping the father or the mother from being involved in that child's life equally and fairly.
Do you believe that the advert in question should be removed because of the way you're interpreting it?
Yes. And I imagine the scenario where you had the reverse scenario where it was a father introducing the stepmom. Imagine the outcry then.
But that happens too. Men are widowed and remarry, and that can indeed be a situation as well. And I'm sure there are many of our listeners are in exactly that situation where they have a stepmother because their natural mother has died or has left or whatever.
Well, in a case of where a mother has died, you can understand that, or a father has died, but not where the father or the dad is alive.
But in some cases, there may well be cases where the natural father is alive and doesn't feel. I mean, our caller earlier on had said that their natural father had no issue with the situation. I
totally agree with you there. That's estrangement. That's where a father or a mother are deadbeat and they don't want. This is where the situation gets messed up. People say, oh, the father doesn't want to see the child. This is what an alienator says. They say that the father doesn't want to see the child, or the mother doesn't want to see the child, or they're bad parents, and in most cases, they're unfounded allegations. So in reality, the dad is a special name. Father's Day is a special day. Mother's Day is a special day, and so are moms. So there are many fathers and mothers out there. Over 71% of the councils so far in Ireland have voted to recognise and to address parental alienation. This adds to parental alienation. This normalises it and makes it okay.
Again, I would suggest respectfully, Paul, that it also points to a situation which is a very normal situation for many people. Paul, thanks indeed for speaking to us this morning. Your view is important, and it's important that it's out there, and certainly the parental alienation issue is an important issue in its own right, and thank you indeed for speaking to us this morning. That's Paul Anderson there from Forever Fathers. Paul, thank you.